At this point, you've probably seen us at every major MLS tournament in the United States, whether it be playoffs, qualifiers, GA Cup, or even the Dallas Cup. But we usually don't take a look at some of the younger kids because we all know they're not always the best players when they get older. But for La Liga promises, we made a huge exception and went to Orlando to check it out. The tournament was highlighted by La Liga Spanish teams, and they were as described: technical, talented, and moved the ball really well. Outside of the Spanish teams, there was also teams from Mexico, Liga MX. There was 2 teams from the US, but one MLS Academy, our very own, Inter Miami. Inter Miami actually won their first game against Real Betis. They decided to play a counter-attacking style and pulled out a late goal. The second match against Barcelona, they were able to get through the first half pretty level, but in the second half, things kind of fell apart with their tiki-taka style and a few mistakes. However, with Inter, I think it's a talented group that needs a little time together, but definitely a team I could see making some major moves in the future and one to keep your eye on. In my personal opinion, the kid who had the best tournament was the number 10 from Real Betis, Thiago Polo. I also really like the center back from Valencia. I believe his name was Danny Perez Herrero. The number 10 from Atletico, number 8 and number 9. And then on Barcelona, what was the number? 2 and 6?
2 and 6.
The number 2, 6, and the striker number 7 were very impressive. There was a player that I was looking to see a little more from. There's a phenomenal striker at Real Madrid, the number 9, who, in my personal opinion, didn't showcase his talent the way I would like to have seen. With his size, I would have liked to see him be able to handle the physical play a little more than he did, but I'm still very interested to see him in the future. Atlas had a really technical player. Here in the US, size is something that is a bit of a bias, so to see a small techie player who had the sauce, his name was Ivan Alonso at Atlas. I was super excited to see him play. Very creative, really exciting player. One of the best tournaments that I've been to in terms of talent, in terms of gameplay, and organization, and overall experience. My biggest takeaway from the tournament, I had a chance to sit down with one of the Barcelona coaches, and I talked to him about the 8v8 format. And for me, here in the US, there's a huge theory that the less space, the better, which is why we supposedly do 9v9. They use the same size field with less players because it helps the kids learn to utilize the space better once they transition to the big field. When he was explaining this to me, and after seeing the Spanish teams play, you kind of got to see that it could actually be hurting us to have an extra player on the field because we don't move off the ball as well as they do. I think it's something we should look into and maybe be worth making a change. At this point, I've seen the best teams at the youth level from France, the US, Spain, Germany, South America, and I really believe up to the U15 level, we not only compete, but in some cases dominate. The biggest difference I've seen is off the ball and tactically on how they move the ball up the field. But that may go back to that 9v9 factor that we talked about earlier. We're able to talk to some of the kids and see what they thought about the tournament. Here's what they had to say.
¿Cómo te sientes después de haber ganado?
Pues muy bien, es un sueño hecho realidad y encima más al club ganar 2 años seguidos y sobre todo para mi entrenador Calle.
¿Cómo te sientes estar en la final?
Pues muy bien, hemos llegado muy lejos y en una final no se juega, en las finales se ganan.
Gracias. Like, follow, and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next tournament.